The boy who saw everything. No one noticed the boy until it was almost too late. His heart slammed against his chest as he tore across the private tarmac, sneakers pounding asphalt, lungs burning. Just ahead, the massive Gulfstream jet's turbines screamed to life, stairwell rising, doors about to close. "Wait," he cried, voice cracking, waving his arms like mad. The sound of the engines nearly drowned out his words. Security was already sprinting toward him, their faces hardening at the sight of a scrawny teenager darting past the restricted signs. But he didn't care. Inside the plane, Winston Carrington, a silver-haired tech magnate known for his cold precision and towering empire, settled into his cream leather seat, entirely unaware of the chaos unfolding just outside his window. The boy broke free from one of the guards, desperation lending him a power he didn't know he had, and then shouted, "Don't fly. Your plane's been tampered with." Time froze for a fraction of a second. Carrington glanced out the window. For the briefest heartbeat, their eyes met. There was confusion, dismissal, thin a flicker of doubt, and that flicker saved his life. 3 days earlier, Caleb Brennan had been standing at his bedroom window, watching a single-prop Cessna carve into the perfect blue sky over Brookside, Illinois. At 14, he knew every aircraft that left Clayton Field 2 miles down the road. His walls were covered in dog-eared aviation magazines. Toy models swung gently from the ceiling on old fishing line. On his desk, a partially built radio scanner blinked in silence, a weekend project for the curious mind of a boy raised on engines and frequencies. "Caleb, you'll be late," his mother called up the stairs. "Coming," he replied, grabbing his backpack and brushing his fingers against the photo of his father in a flight suit, smiling next to an old Beechcraft Baron. 5 years gone, but still watching over him. Rachel Brennan stood at the base of the stairs, in her nurse's scrubs, keys in hand. She looked warm between long shifts and raising a son alone. There was little energy left at the end of most days. "I pack your lunch. And remember, you're walking Mr. Stanley's mutt after school. That's $10 for the flight fund." Caleb grinned. "Almost there. Just 300 more to go. Your dad would be proud, you know," she said softly. Caleb nodded, his heart tugging. As they drove to school, they passed the airport. And there it was, a gleaming white Gulfstream G650. Caleb's face lit up. "That's it. That's Carrington Aerotech's jet. I recognized the logo on the tail." Rachel raised a brow. "The billionaire? Tenicali a multimillionaire, Caleb corrected. He develops aircraft navigation systems. Dad flew with some of their early tech." Rachel just shook her head with a smile. "You're something else, you know that?" But Caleb didn't hear her. His eyes were locked on the plane. That night, he couldn't sleep. The jet stuck in his mind like a puzzle waiting to be solved. During school the next day, he couldn't focus. At lunch, he sketched the plane's profile in the margins of his math notes. Derek Macklin, a sophomore with a mean streak, snatched the notebook. "Still drawing your little planes, Brennan? Grow up." Caleb stood, knowing he wouldn't win a fight, but refusing to back down. "My dad was a pilot," he said quietly. "Those drawings mean something." Derek paused. He'd heard the story everyone had. The local hero who died saving a family in a burning aircraft. He tossed the notebook back without another word. That afternoon, Caleb made a decision. The Gulfstream wouldn't be here forever. He slipped through a narrow breach in the airport's chain-link fence, one he'd discovered years ago. Old Ernie, the head mechanic, saw him but pretended not to. "Teacher workday?" Ernie asked without looking up from a Piper Warrior. "Yup, Caleb lit. Mind if I just look around?" Ernie wiped his hands on a rag. "You know the rules. Don't touch. If anyone asks, I didn't see you." Caleb gave him a grateful nod. The jet sat like a white swan at the far end of the tarmac. As he neared, Caleb noticed a small maintenance panel slightly ajar. Unusual. He bent closer. What he saw turned his blood to ice. A small black device, blinking red. Wires trailing along hydraulic lines. It didn't belong. He backed away, heart racing. It could be a malfunction or a bomb. Security wouldn't believe a kid. Ernie might. But what if there wasn't enough time? A voice interrupted his thought. Businessmen in suits approaching. One figure stood out. Silver hair. Tall. Commanding. Winston Carrington. The man himself. Caleb didn't hesitate. He sprinted forward. Mr. Carrington, stop. Don't board. Chaos erupted. Guards lunged. One tackled him hard. Your plane. Caleb screamed. There's a device near the tail. Please check it. Carrington stepped out onto the stairwell, frowning. Let him speak, he said. Caleb, breathless, looked him in the eye. Check the rear hydraulic panel. There's something there that shouldn't be. My dad was a pilot. I know planes. Carrington hesitated, then nodded to his head of security. Do it. Now. 20 minutes later, they returned, pale. There's a sabotage device. Remote activated. We believe it was timed for failure mid-flight. Carrington's face went hard. Call the FBI. He turned back to Caleb. I think you just saved my life, son. Hours later, in a quiet airport conference room, Caleb repeated his story. His mother arrived soon after, both furious and relieved. Carrington stepped in and approached them. Mrs. Brennan, he said, your son is extraordinary. He spotted what trained security missed. Rachel placed a protective hand on Caleb's shoulder. He shouldn't have been there. Carrington offered a small smile. And yet, it was fortunate that he was. Then he turned to Caleb. I knew your father. Not well, but enough to respect him. He once helped us with early Navcom tech. Brilliant man. Caleb's heart swelled with pride. Carrington handed him a card. I'd like to talk again, if your mother agrees. Rachel glanced at Caleb, then nodded cautiously. And one more thing, Carrington added as he left. That gap in the fence already being patched. Next time, come through the front. They'll know your name. Caleb stared at the card in his hand. His life had just changed forever. The next morning, Carrington arrived in a sleek black SUV. I thought you might appreciate a ride to school, he said casually, dressed in jeans and a crisp shirt. Rachel blinked. Mr. Carrington, we weren't expecting you. Please call me Winston. Over coffee in their modest living room, he made his pitch. A full college fund. And I'd like Caleb to resume flight lessons fully funded, starting immediately. Rachel stared. That's too much. It's nothing compared to the life he saved. Caleb sat speechless until Winston handed him another envelope. Also, this is for your lessons. A 1978 Cessna 172. Restored. Same model your dad flew. Caleb choked out. Thank you. I don't even know what to say. Winston placed a hand on his shoulder. Your father would be proud. And I need your help with something. He lowered his voice. I believe your father's crash may not have been an accident. The device on my plane, it's almost identical to something that could have caused his. Caleb's breath caught. What are you saying? I'm saying someone may have wanted him dead. What follows is a whirlwind. Caleb's instructor, Captain Darrell Shaw, a former Navy pilot, who flew with Caleb's father, confirmed suspicions. Yes, Thomas Brennan was working on a revolutionary navigation system. Yes, it was dangerous if flawed. Yes, he had concerns before he died. Caleb's mother, at first resistant, eventually shares a long-held secret. Thomas had hidden a hard drive and a letter in a safety deposit box for Caleb to open when he turned 18. But the truth couldn't wait. Inside the fireproof case, test data, video logs of system errors, and a letter. If you're reading this, something's gone wrong. The letter details sabotage, a confrontation with Carrington's O.O. Gregory Van Sand, a refusal to sign off on a flawed product. Now, Caleb knows everything. Winston sets a meeting. Old Hangar 4, 5:30. Come alone. But Caleb's instincts scream otherwise. He calls Captain Shaw, who says, Carrington left for Seattle this morning. The message wasn't from Carrington. It was a trap. Caleb and Rachel race to the police but are intercepted. Black SUVs. Men with guns. Taken to the hangar, they face Gregory Vance himself, cold and smug, now holding the drive. Your dad was a problem. Just like you, he sneers. But before he can act, the doors burst open. Carrington enters with the FBI. You were right, Caleb, he says, and I'm sorry for what it cost you. Vance and his men are arrested on multiple charges: sabotage, conspiracy, and likely murder. Weeks later, at a press conference, Carrington tells the world, Thomas Brennan was a hero. He uncovered flaws that could have killed thousands. He gave his life trying to fix them. A new initiative is launched, the Brennan Fellowship for Aviation Safety. Full scholarships, a memorial wing. Caleb's father is no longer forgotten. And as a final gift, Carrington presents Caleb with a pilot's license provisional, but official. All his father's hours now count. You're clear to fly, Carrington says. And you're always welcome at Carrington Aerotech. As they soar home over the Illinois plains, Caleb looks out the window, heart full. His journey has just begun. And above the clouds, he swears he can feel his father flying alongside him.